you're on camera, you glamorous puss.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Leeann and I'm from Gaiachi, and this is David Sye.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where I'm from.
So we thought we'd come together after many chats on the phone and realising that we had hopefully lots to offer everybody, that we thought we'd finally get together and have a good old chinwag so everyone else could enjoy.
Yeah, that would be great. And we've had a lovely lunch in my garden, and I'm so happy that these two are here and that we have an opportunity to talk about that which finally all conversations come down to, which is truth.
Yes.
Yes.
So the whole point of this was about the minefield of spirituality, how our on-take of things will hopefully help other people to identify some issues within themselves or whatever they're going through on their journey, to help them seek their truth, because it's not the same for everyone. It's not one size fits all.
That's right.
Yeah, it's individual.
And what I love about what you suggested and why we're coming together is because this is about support. Yeah. This is not about egocentricity. It's not about individual qualifications or raising your kundalini or raising your vibration. That happens, as I perceive it, as a consequence of love, sharing. My thing is, Yogabeats, ancient magic, and people go, oh, we don't talk about yoga and everything. And I always say to people in the world of yoga, why don't you just be quiet about yoga and sit with someone and have a cup of tea and listen to their story? Because everybody wants to be heard. And when we stop waffling on about ourselves or trying to blanket everybody else with this concept of spirituality, for instance, and allow people to come into maybe what we've experienced, but without trying to knock them back, because everybody's got their story, everybody's got an amazing perception, and we're all, we can accept we're all eternal souls, then it's a lovely communal thing, and we have a circle and there's no beginning or end. It just goes round and round again. Yeah, it's beautiful, and I love that, and I love that we've shared that, and we have an opportunity now to share it with other people.
Yeah, I think that's lovely. Really good.
Me and Leeann came together, and there's Dylan there just behind the camera, eating all the truffles here on the table. Anyway, whatever. It's a minor
and the coffee.
and the coffee. But immediately we fell into this conversation in the garden, which was lovely, which was about our different perceptions, our different views on the same thing of life, and I think that would be lovely to discuss, because I know that there's an addiction for myself, I call it an addiction, that the more I hear this stuff, the more I experience this stuff, the more I want it.
Yeah, and I think of all the addictions out there in the world, I'd rather have an addiction to unconditional love than I would anything else.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I don't know about you, but I hear lots of times people put comments on social media about how can you be in that space all the time. I don't know whether I just feel very blessed that I've got to that stage in my life where I'm at peace with everything, that it's very easy to be in that state all the time and just see the beauty in everything. Even your blippy days, see the beauty. I call them blippy days. See the beauty. See the beauty in them, because it gives you time to almost take stock of what's happened, what's been going on, and also when somebody else throws something into the equation, instead of looking at it in a negative point of view. And actually, for me now at the stage I'm at, it makes me take a breath, and go as like a checkpoint for me, rather than being a negative point. It still allows me to stay in unconditional love for me and what's around me, but it also it's like a reality check.
Absolutely. But one of the things that what you're saying is absolutely right. One of the things that happens that I find in the world of yoga, for instance, or I brought up in the world of entertainment, is that people put on a front, or they have a persona, or they, like I'm saying, I'm a yoga elder. Well, that's a definition. I'm not a yoga elder. I'm a human being, and I'm the same being as I've evolved through time and space in this corporeal body. And I can see a child playing, and suddenly I'm back to when I was a little boy, and it brings tears to me. And the more I have the possibility of that sensitivity, life is incredibly rich. It's when we're trying to live this image, and we're working for an image of ourselves, and we say, well, this will get us money, and this will get us position, because the world of spirituality is very lucrative if you start to attack it in a certain way. And you can just go on the internet, you can find plenty of that, ladies and gentlemen. But, and here's the thing, when you let go of that, or when I let go of that, and I allow myself just to fall into innocence, what happens is the source of my supply becomes life itself. I don't have to go through the pummel people through the websites, through the internet. I don't have to worry about my marketing, because the greatest marketing of all is divinity. It's really interesting how it works. I don't know how it works, but it really works, and it's right there. And people go, I can't believe that's just happened for you. That you're so lucky. And how did you do it? I said, I didn't. All I did was, you kind of let yourself fall and you get caught by it. So it's just an interesting one.
Yeah, I had a conversation a few weeks ago. It was with my daughter,
Yeah.
and for me it was really empowering, because I heard her speak, and I heard her say, I'm this person with this group of people. I'm this person at work. I'm this person at home. This person with my family.
Right.
And it made me realise that when I was younger, that was who I was. I was a different person, because nobody really truly knew me, because I was hiding so much of myself, because other people didn't understand me. So rather than offend anyone, I hid that, and I became this different person for every group of people that I was in. And it just kind of hit home, because I was listening to her, and it was like a mirror image of what I was when I was younger. And it was like, wow, it was almost like that point where you realise how far you've come.
Yes.
And whether that comes with age, wisdom, I don't know. But to be, to finally be at peace with who I am, and be me in every situation.
Right.
So if I'm in a situation and I'm quiet, it's because I'm observing, because maybe I'm listening to what's going on, or I feel that the group of people I'm with are not ready for the energy explosion I'm going to chuck into the equation.
Right.
So I'll just sit there and just gently flow it out. Where other situations I'll be, and I'm like, this lot can handle it, so they can have it full pelt.
I love that. What I see with you, which I like, and I like it in myself, is not caring too much. So you take off because I notice when I'm presenting myself, and it's very, very subtle with me, because I came up in the world of entertainment, so I know when I'm presenting myself in front, particularly when I'm working in front of a lot of people, which I do, as in Yogabeats and Ancient Magic, so I get in front of a lot of people and I have to say something. So what I usually do when I go up there, because they will present me or something, I go, hello, I'm David Sye, and I'll try to knock it down, because I want everybody to feel the same space that I'm in, because when that happens, there's huge joy. It's not about me. I don't want it to be about me. And if I did, there's something wrong with me, because the energy that comes in wants to be shared. And it's like sitting and eating a fabulous meal on your own, with a candle and a little wine and and you're on your own. Or there's a load of people and you're just eating together, and enjoying and laughing and giggling. The two are incomparable.
Yeah.
And
same meal, but one person compared to.
That's it. And you're sharing it. It's just adorable. So why fill your life? You know, I've been through war, and I've been in situations where I don't know how long I'm going to be in this body actually. And I remember once in the West Bank. I mean, a few of my friends have heard this bloody story a few times, and I apologise, but we were eating hummus with this family, this Palestinian family, and I don't know how it was. We had this building blown up on the same street, and I went, oh, like this, and the guy goes, you don't like the hummus? I give you something else. And I was like, I burst out laughing. It was like, I think I've just shit my pants, you know. But it was so funny. We all laughed that afternoon. We finished the meal. They were full of love. And you meet I didn't meet this master on the internet. I met this master because I was training his son, you know, in Jenin. And what's lovely is that these beings come, or what you need in spirituality. And I think I want to say this actually. What you need comes as a result of your own sincere asking. So, and if you make a difference to someone else, make someone happy, those things start to work. But because we're holding on to everything and we're trying to get something, how about give something?
It's a chain reaction, though,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because if you do something, I always say that it's not about having loads of views, it's not about having loads of people come through to help.
Sure.
All you have to do is help one person, change their life
Right.
for the positive, and they'll want to do the same, because it's that unconditional love that flows out.
Beautiful.
And it's sometimes it's the most silliest thing. Some people might not get it. I mean, Dylan doesn't know this, but on the train ride up here today, we got on our second train. There was people sitting along, and I closed my eyes, and I was like, I wasn't quite feeling the energy on the train, so I went into my heart space, and I just rippled out unconditional love from one end of the train to the other. At the next stop, the woman next to me, I don't know if you saw, she got up and moved 2 seats down, and they ended up empty next to me, and I was like,
Wow.
she obviously felt it, but
Yeah.
didn't want it. But I just,
Yeah.
you know, I
Sure.
don't know if you still do that. I still do silly little things like this. It's
do.
just my own humour. I don't know. I just love to send out love, and when you can do it in an area, and I do look around to see if anybody else has noticed it, or if anyone's looking, they can feel it, and it's beautiful to know that they have. Not necessarily nice that somebody moved, but obviously by moving, they've obviously felt something.
No, absolutely, and I think it's really, well, actually, it's vital. I've done similar things like that only because I needed to, like going through borders where there are guards who are, you know, they see me full of tattoos and looking strange, and they can't put me in a box. I've got to go into the place of love, because that changes them and they become different. And I don't know how it happens. I really don't know. And if somebody wonders, well, how does that happen? I've got no answer, except the love that's within us is so powerful, and it's what's keeping the corporeal body alive. It's keeping, and it follows. It's what we are, and that goes from one lifetime to another. And so people say, well, you know, I want to know, you know, what I was in other lifetimes, and you know, what did I do? And you know, because I use certain techniques for healing, and as a consequence of that, sometimes often people will come across other lifetimes. So I said, well, why do you want to know that? Why do you want to know what happened in another lifetime? Because if you're feeling great joy now,
Why bring something else?
What do you
forward?
care? You know, what is it? Is it like conversation? Oh, I was very important in another lifetime, and does that make you feel better now? Feel better now, and if you need to understand it as a consequence of your journey, because the journey, and that's all I wanted to share, and we've always been sharing this, is the one of joy into divinity, or what we might call divinity, because I don't know anything more divine than that. And if that is really the journey, everything comes together for us to make those journeys. So whatever you need, you don't need to concentrate on the need, say, well, I need this sort of money and that. It comes.
Yeah.
It's by making a difference, you make a difference to somebody else, whatever you need will somehow be there. And you can't If you try to analyze it, you'll blow your mind, because it's way beyond your mind.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago somebody said, well, how do you do what you do?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't. I'm allowing. I've always gone into my heart space and allowed that to just take over my body.
Right.
But to pull it apart and understand how you do it, when people have said that to me, that stops me in my tracks, because then it allows me not to flow anymore, because I'm then thinking, oh, do people really want to know how I do? Well, how do I do this? How does it work? But I think the more you just have faith in yourself,
right,
and the more unconditional love that you have for you and everything around you, the more you just allow your abilities, and we all have them, to just flow, because it's just... And the one beautiful thing about unconditional love is it's universal.
Right.
Has its own language. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, the universe.
Right.
It is.
That's it.
One vibration.
That's it.
The highest vibration.
No, absolutely. And what's amazing about all this, the animals understand it, other people, different languages understand it, and everything moves around to conspire that you get more of it.
Yeah.
So you want more of that? You don't need to go on a course and sign up to something on the internet. You just need to be more loving and present wherever you are. And I keep, that's my practice. It's like, because I lose it so much. And then what I'm good at is going, I've lost it.
Yeah.
I've lost it.
And it happens so quickly.
Yeah.
It can be like, 1 minute you could be in that great place, and in a click of a finger something can happen. And if you're not mindful of being heart-centered, you can slip. And I say this to everyone who I work with. When people say to me, I'd love to walk in your shoes. No, walk in your own. If I didn't stay heart-centered, which is how I wish to live my life, I would probably be in a really dark place. But I choose, you get shown both walks of life.
Right.
And I was shown at a very young age. You've got two options. I was always told it was my choice which way I wanted to go.
Right.
So I've always said I have enough love in my body to wrap around this world 10 times over. So why not flood that?
Right.
Why keep it for yourself? The more you ripple out to others.
Beautiful.
And it happens, like you were saying, we're sitting in the garden. And I mean, even your plants understand it. I mean, if you don't show them love, they won't grow. All your vegetables, or your anything. But you give them that attention, and all they want to do is blossom for you.
I know. And I was saying to the rosemary, when I cut a bit for the salad, I said, guys, I'm sorry, I just need to take a little bit.
I do that.
And I'm thinking, if someone could hear you, it's certifiable. No, but it's true, because they're a living thing, And
it's appreciative, isn't it? Yeah.
It's absolutely true. But tell me about your journey. How did you get to? Because I'm, I know about my bloody journey, but what about yours? Tell me about yours. How you got to where you are now?
How I got to where I am now. I've had lots of ups and downs, like we all have. From a very young age, it was. My mum said to me, I think I was like 3. She had a watch that my dad had bought her, and it stopped working. They couldn't get it fixed, so my mum just put it in her top drawer and left it there. And I came out of her bedroom one day with it in my hands, and I said, "Mummy, I fixed your watch." And she said, "What are you doing with that watch? I told you not to touch that." And she looked at it, and it was working. And she's like, "What did you do?" And I was just like, I fixed it.
Wow.
And no one knew how I'd done it, so it was like my little party trick. And I can remember my dad saying that they had a man round. It was to do the town hall, and he had the town hall keys in his pocket.
Okay.
And he left. Several hours later, my mum and dad had the police knock at the door because the town hall keys had gone missing, and the last place that were known the guy was at our place. So the place was uprooted. And they were in my toy box.
No.
So I'd managed to get them out of his box. This is sound like a pickpocket. But I used to simply do things that were unaccountable. But it's like things that are unaccountable. But my mum said as a child I never needed, if I'd had 1-2 hours sleep, that was it. Right. That's all I ever needed.
Yeah.
But I used to keep slugs and snails and stuff under my bed. I used to have like the old sweet boxes, like the big plastic containers. I used to put grass in the bottom of them, put loads of holes, and I used to have caterpillars and butterflies and so I've always been like, and I love anything like that's on its way out, like plants. I mean, like I said to you, I told my grandson, when we go plant shopping or vegetable looking, we look for the orphan bits, which are the reduced ones that are nearly dead, that need life. And that's how I've always been through my life. And I really got into this kind of thing through, I actually had a nervous breakdown. So, and I hit a really bad place after something that I've gone, like, it was a collaboration of things. So it was a divorce, it was being raped, it was all like so much in about 6 months to a year. And I tried to commit suicide twice, and I was just, point of no return. So I thought, and I just remember sitting and looking at a mark on the wall, and like weeks had disappeared. And I can remember they tried me on loads of like tablets to help me, and it was just making me worse. And the doctor said, you're going to have to do this when you're around. My mum said, well, the only way out is for you to dig yourself out. No one can do it for you. And then I started doing, my mum said to me, what do you want to do? And I used to work as a lifeguard and that, but I had all males around me, so I couldn't go back to that. It didn't feel right for me because of what I was going through in my process. So I then started doing massage and stuff like that, and from that I just had these beautiful letters come back to me about people who were in crap places, and after they had a massage with me, I changed their life around. Wow. But the trouble is, every time I did one of these massages, I was feeling in a really bad place, and I couldn't understand why. Yeah. And then I met a lady, I walked into a crystal shop, and she's become a friend, really good friend. And I walked into a shop, and I turned, and I didn't even know how I got there. And I asked her if she'd got any space for a reading. And I had a reading. She asked me to come back later. And I had a reading done. And then I sat for like 6 weeks in one of her circles just to try and understand, because I was picking up things all the time. Like I'd walk into a supermarket and walk out in so much pain. And I'd be sitting next to somebody and I'd pick up everything and I didn't understand what it was. So that's really how my journey was, to understand things, and then I've just allowed it to just happen naturally. And when people try and force things onto me, it stops me in my tracks. I've always had, it leads in on quite good actually to this conversation, but I've always had this thing that when you're following somebody else's trainings, okay, so you're following their training. Right. They followed somebody else's training, followed somebody else's training. How far back does this go?
That's right.
Okay, so we all know that the world has been raised on a low energy, okay, and we're breaking out of this now. Yes. So my argument is, but this is purely personal, so from my point of view, all these trainings coming forward, they could have really started, and you don't know the vibration of that person that first started. True. And all these generations of going up of these trainings, and that's from that person. So if they've trained on a low negative vibration, and they've brought it forward to now they're classing this now as the best spiritual awakening time. But how many of those things, we're going in now to an area that's uncharted. Sure. So this planet has never been at the vibration that we're at now. Absolutely. And it's constantly rising. So how are all these old ways relevant to what we're going into now? Exactly right. So to me, I encourage everyone to find their own journey within. I help people find that unconditional love so that they can flow in their right. But when you're following somebody else's ways, to me, you're tapping into their energy, and you don't. It's false, because that's theirs. It's not your way; it's their way.
And you don't know what their energy is.
No, that's right. Well, you think they could be working on? We were talking about this the other day. Mm-hmm. The old energies of the planet. We go back as far back as you can remember. We were saying this paganism. Yeah, sure. witches, witch doctors,
Sure.
medicine people. Now we're talking on these being really old ways.
Right.
Okay, so they served their time
Yep.
back then.
They were perfect then.
Yeah, for then
Right.
we had lost ourselves, and that's how you start finding yourself. But we're now going into an uncharted area where it's
Yes.
about finding self, bringing back all the old journeys that you've been on, but the
Right.
bits that are needed for now to help
Yes.
you.
What's relevant?
Relevant, yeah.
Yes, that's
all
right.
of it is not relevant. It led to us being hung. It led to us being
Yes.
put on the stake. It led to us being brutally killed. And
That's right.
where we're going now is not. It's uncharted and scary because nobody truly has the answer because it's our own personal
I agree.
journey.
Yeah, so I just want to jump in. So this is why, in the way that Christ said, you've got to come as children.
Yeah.
So we have to approach it with like, I know nothing. And it reminds me of the story. I want you to carry on because it's so lovely what you were just saying, but I just want to jump in. Very, very early on, I joined a spirit circle, and they were just wonderful. They were the Goldmans in Edgware. And me and Phil Goldman, we were talking about, we were very young, we were talking about spirituality and concepts and ideas and great masters and everything. And Alf walked in. He was a real cool, blimey Cockney, and he's a big guy, He said, "Rubbish, rubbish, rubbish, son, rubbish." And we looked at him, and he went, "Oh, just feel the love, feel the love, feel the love." And I thought, what a bloody idiot. And I realised later on he was completely correct. He always has been, and that was a diamond for me early on. That all of this stuff is much ado about nothing. It can be. It seems like it takes you on a journey, but it's a journey of the past or someone else's ego or someone's construct, and you have your own. And what a beautiful thing to give birth to that.
Yeah.
So
we're coming out of that control though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, to me, like leaders. We should be leading from the heart, not having someone leading us.
Yes.
So when you lead from the heart, you lead from example for other people to know that it's safe and okay to do that.
Right.
It doesn't need somebody with a great big balance being paid humongous amounts of money to dictate or control you.
Right.
It shouldn't be about that. It should be about within. And it's amazed how your life changes when you switch off your TV and you don't entertain what's fakeness going on in the world or other people's perception of what's going on. I mean, when people come together like our chat here, you can see the same end goal, but everyone gets to it differently.
Right.
So when you're watching the news or something like that, you're seeing what somebody else's perception of it.
Right.
That's just one person's view of it.
Yeah.
So rather than everyone getting together and giving their views on it, you're just seeing it from one side. But if you was to put that clip of news and you put that same clip in every country, you're going to get their person's perception of it, and it will be totally different. But it will be the same picture or the same scenario, but it will be different.
But that's what's lovely about the circle.
Yeah.
So that everybody has a different view of the same thing in the circle, and to each person in the circle it's different, yet it's the same thing. So who are we to say, well, the Christ or Buddha or Muhammad? They were all of the great masters we call the great masters. They were perceiving life through the prism of themselves. Yeah. And who's to say that the prism of yourself, Betty from Basildon or wherever you're from, is not the right one? And that's why I think it's important that if we have a cup of tea with someone, to subjugate or put down the fact that you want to say, well, yes, I'm a triple PhD and I've done this and I've done that. Who cares? If you don't have the ability to have a cup of tea or coffee, whatever you want with someone, and shut up just for a moment and just allow them, because the stories, the blossomings of someone else's, and it's so surprising, and it's exactly, amazingly, what you need to hear.
Yeah, just through a conversation.
It's the most incredible thing.
Yeah, and somebody else will, if they don't relate to the whole thing, there'll be something that ignites or sparks something within them, whether it be a healing process or a process of wanting to find more out, which will lead them to the process of finding out more about self.
Right.
And that is what it's about. It doesn't care. I always say, I don't care if I've managed to talk to 10 people and only one person has taken that. If they don't take it from this lifetime, they'll take it from another or somewhere down the line, or they could be having a conversation with someone and that little bit of information that stored might come out and be actually for somebody else.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's how it works.
Yeah, that's it. And so it's impossible to market this. What is possible is to is the energy that's making me sit here with you now and Dylan, which is so lovely, by the way. I just want to thank you both for it. Is a self-propagating thing that makes me, when I look in the mirror or I lay in my bed or just walk, I think, I'm living a good life. This is well worth my time and my energy. And it's not like, oh, well, I'm a day older. Oh dear, well, I didn't get that. None of that applies, because you're in such a good state. And that's what most people are missing, because all they're talking about is what the politicians or the media is dictating, or the football. You know, I was listening to some people the other day who apparently they were at this match. Well, they weren't actually, they were in the pub. But they played this match, apparently. I don't know how they did it, and were also in the pub. And they were talking about their victory. And they were going on and on about it, debating the pros and cons about these different players. Which is, it's an amusing conversation for me to listen in on. But what wasn't happening was nobody was sharing their stuff. It didn't seem to be, you know, at that point, maybe I'm being naive, but when people share their stuff, you can actually tell, because the conversation is very warm. It's like warming your hands on a fire. It's very, very lovely. You can feel it. There's a lot of spillage, and I notice that when I'm in the West Bank or I'm in areas which are not good areas. People somehow, because things aren't good, always gravitate towards essential. Yeah. It's very lovely, actually. When people say, oh God, you're going back into a war. Well, actually, these people are incredible. I remember in Belgrade in the middle of the war, you know, how people were extraordinary. What happened when Milosevic kicked everybody's ass? Everybody became community. Wherever you went was your family. Yeah. Wherever you went, you were fed. Wherever you went, brother, stay here. It wasn't like, well, I don't know you. It was just, you're a brother, you're a brate, you're a good brate, dobro brate. And it was very lovely. And then I came back to the West, which was like coming back to Hollywood. Suddenly, you know, you walked into a supermarket and the shelves were full of food. But everybody was grabbing their own. Nobody was talking to each other. And it felt very cold for me. It was very strange. And I think what I've been trying to do, like for instance in the world of yoga, because that was the profession that I came into, was to bring that community, that communal thing. And particularly also in what we call spirituality, which has become this great commodity.
It's become, I mean, I don't know about you, I've seen so many ads for create your spiritual business, make a six-figure number. I cannot get my head around your own personal spiritual awakening to a six-figure number. No. To me, it's what my personal view is false spirituality. You can't market self-journey. You can help people on their way. I help people on their journey. Sure. You know, I do a lot of free stuff as well as people pay. Sure. But I'm not sitting there with a disgusting figure to make a business so that I can have a massive house and loads of cars. Yeah. To me, my journey's about humanity and helping people awake theirs and realise that there's more to life than this ego path that's being portrayed. And there is all that unconditional love that you don't have to pay a fortune to get.
No.
It's within.
That's right. Well, these are the false gods that the Christ spoke about.
Yeah.
You know, that you have to pay this amount of money per month, and you get insights to some of the great masters and the great truths. It's as if you have to go online in order to get it. That life is so inept and so pathetic that you'd have to pay for it. Are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me? Because the people who are selling that, I'm afraid that con merchant comes up in my mind.
I had a message, and it was about how can you put a price on having a great life, and it's like you shouldn't have to put a price on unconditional love or that, because then that's not about self, and that's not it's not about unconditional love.
Right.
And I just think that's very hard, and like it's really hard also for people to see that. So I encourage people to, hand on heart, sit and think about it. You know, what does this genuinely feel right to you? Because I always say to people when I do a treatment with them, I like to chat to them first, because I like them to feel my energy.
Right.
And if my energy is not right for them at that moment in time, that's perfectly all right, because there's somebody out there that can help them, and I would rather them find somebody else that can help them than me go, no, I can help you, and I can't, because my energy's not right for them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And it's like you can go to someone else and they'd be brilliant, get you to where you know, and then your next stage you're like, they're not right for me anymore, and that's perfectly okay. But some people get so hung up on that well, you know, they're mine, they should stay with me. It's not. You should find somebody that it feels right for you, and when they can no longer take you any further on your journey,
That's right.
it's perfectly all right to find somebody that can.
That's right.
But there's a lot of people out there that are trying to help people on their journey, and they're trying to help them in something that they don't do or have done themselves.
Yes.
So how can they be of help?
No, they can't be. But this is all territorial. This is like, oh, these are my students.
Control.
These are my clients. Completely control. And it's about money, and it's about revenue, and it's about glory and status, and it's all those things. And when you don't care about it, what needs to happen will happen. But what you'll know is that you're extremely happy. I mean, the whole point is not that. I mean, I'm very well known, but I don't care about any of it. It's okay, but so what? Yeah. The fact of the matter is, I have to live with me, and if I'm not happy, if I'm not a happy boy, then I'm wasting my life. It's a waste of my life, and it's a lie. I'm living. You know, I came back to this country. I was homeless, and I don't know how I'm sitting in this room right now with you, and all these lovely things that have happened, and all I knew was my dad, he was a big name, my father, and he gave he had, I think, like 50 hit records, you know, Frankie Vaughan. He gave every single one away to the boys club, and my mother went, Frank, why have you done that? He said, because they need it. Now, this gets me emotional, you know, but he was a good man, and I love that. Be a good person, and life will be good to you. And when you got that, you don't have to be sold a false god. These are false gods that they sell you, and they're not true. And the energy we're moving into, you're absolutely right. In the energy that's increasing on our planet, all of these old paradigms are falling into absolute disrepair. The things that we hold precious now, you know, in a few years' time will look ridiculous. It'll be like, you know, the steam engine. Yeah. So it's I'm very happy we're having this conversation, and I'm very happy that this is going to be shared with people, because for me, I think what is vital and what is important. Yeah. You know, that vital was talking about the truth, discussing it without any holds barred. You know, I got teachers who say to me, well, how much should I charge? And I said, well, you can have a rate if you like. And then you say, well, this is my rate. And they say, well, what if you can't pay it? I said, well, you do it for nothing. So I always get this thing, and they say, what do you mean do it for nothing? I said, because The source of your supply isn't another person. If you make another person the source of your you're gone. You've bought into this world. And if you say, you don't allow this world to be the source of your supply, this is where miracles happen. The miraculous becomes continuous. And I know in my life, the continuous, miraculous thing that happens, can I figure it out? Can I logically figure it? No. Do I want to? Actually, now, no. I'm just blessed that it happens. And that's what I share. And of course, it doesn't work with a logical mind.
No.
But that's very primitive mind.
Yeah.
And the frontal lobes now of the cortex, are starting to open with this new energy. And if you don't believe so, look at some of the star children.
Yeah. Oh my God, the younger generation coming
Uh-oh.
through. Oh, I'm blessed to watch my grandchildren, and I like, wow. My eldest grandchild. He just flows in light language, which is just beautiful.
Wow.
And when I had a conversation with him, he said to me, "I don't know what it is, Nanny." I said, "Well, have you heard it anywhere?" "No, it just every now and again, I just say it." And I've noticed that now I've acknowledged that with him, he does flow more when he's around me.
Yeah.
And he'll be playing and it will just
Beautiful.
flow. And I said to him, it's like language of the soul.
Yeah.
And he was okay with that, and that's fine. And then I look at my youngest one that's she's 4 months now, and she came in with her eyes open and has not closed them.
Wow.
And just seeing the things, she's just alert and doing things that she, is like should be doing in about 4 or 5 months' time, and she's doing already.
Right.
So they're coming through awoke.
And you're absolutely right, and they're evolving us. Something happened last night. It was amazing, I must tell you. I had a brother of mine came down from Glasgow. He flew down for a treatment with me. So we had this. It was a beautiful day, and he said, "Oh, let me take you for a meal." I said, "All right, fine." So we went to this restaurant, and I was talking about people who influenced me in my life, and great people. I have an uncle Neville, bless him, of a Shalom, and he was a great war hero in Israel. He was an amazing man. He was a bad boy from the East End of London, and I love my Uncle Nevs. And he was an iconoclastic rebel, and he was always falling backwards. He called it falling backwards into the arms of the divine. I was talking about him. I was getting a little tearful, as I often do. I cry too much and smile too much. And we're eating this meal on this restaurant, and a lad comes up to me. He went, "David." I went, "Yeah?" He says, "I'm Nadav." Nadav is Johnny Winehouse, Stephen Winehouse, who passed from cancer. It's his son.
Aww.
And he looks like Neville. I'm full of tears now, but he said, "David, you don't know me." I said, "Wow." And I just gave him a big hug. And it blew my mind how fast these things happen. You do something beautiful, something more beautiful comes and goes. "Oh, you think that's beautiful? Check this out." And I was in a mess, but I'm mentioning it, I'm speaking about it because I would like to try to communicate to people that the miraculous becoming continuous is more secure than you paying for an online course. Or just be loving, just be kind. It's such a thing.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not saying like some of these courses have their place.
They do.
For depending what they
Sure
are.
they
But
do.
when you're chucking thousands of pounds at a course to learn how to be a healer, to learn how to be a medium, they're all within you, and the more self-love you practice within yourself,
Beautiful.
the more your energy rises, the more stuff flows.
Yes, absolutely right.
And there's a lot of that is to do with what you put in you as well. We're a vessel, so the lighter we make ourselves, but that's part of your journey, on what journey you're on. So you'll notice as you go along on your journey, things that felt right at the beginning might not feel right halfway along.
Right.
I mean, I look at my journey, how I started out, and the things that I've taken out of my life that have made my energy work flow better and allowed me to be better
Yes.
within what I give and serve to humanity.
Right.
So it's about, I think, don't resist them, allow them and accept them, and then see the change. Don't do it because somebody else is expecting that
Right.
of you,
Right.
but allow yourself to be submerged in it.
Yes.
And allow yourself to try different things and give them a
Right.
go, but finding your own way. Cause
That's absolutely right. And so the only thing that would, it's really interesting what you're saying, because I'm just thinking, well, what would stop people from doing that? What would stop a person? Fear. And fear comes from the ego personality.
Yeah.
So the egoic personality, which is self-identifying, so we over-identify with ourselves, and then it becomes fearful, and it's almost like an entity that talks you into something that you wonder how I got into that deal, and I regret paying that, or I regret doing this, and the ego says, no, you need this, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, and then which is just, it's a basic survival mechanism of a bipedal ape, which we were not very strong in terms of the animal kingdom, so we created this thing that says unless you move your ass, you're not going to get fed. So, but it becomes the master rather than the servant. So I have people saying to me, because I talk about it quite a bit, because it's my obsession for me. Obviously, I want to. The more I put it down or make it my servant, the better I feel in my life. They say, well, how do you do that? I said, laugh at it. Laugh at yourself. So I think I was talking about the ego and how to disarm it.
Yeah.
Because it's the one thing I know that limits my life. So it gets me to look through the prism of the ego personality, which is about survival. That's all it's about. It's paying more attention to it than that. And so in terms of survival, which is, it's fine, that's perfectly fine. But when it becomes the master, this is the problem, because you start, this is where neurosis happen. This is where you say, oh, my appearance, and what did I say, and blah, 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 blah. And then you start caring it's much ado about nothing. So for me, the greatest thing is humor, the ability to laugh at yourself. And whenever I'm doing courses, I started off nearly always telling a joke, and and it's interesting how people, some people get offended because they're very serious, and being very serious is looked upon, acknowledged as being vital and important, and actually it's not. It's clever, but it's not intelligent.
The old ways.
Exactly, the old ways. Exactly. So that world and the way we've seen life, the perception of it, is falling apart. And I think and people are becoming insecure because of that. They're getting frightened because those things are falling away. And I think it's for those of us who've understood community, hilarity, and that the miraculous is continuous, for us to come closer with them, to not take a position of superiority, to become more loving and more surrendered. It doesn't mean that you allow people to walk over you, but if they try to, then just walk away. Just leave them in their own energy space.
Yeah.
Hold
space for people to be able to arise and understand where they're at.
That's right.
Because I think that's like the hardest thing. And I always look, no matter where anyone is in their journey, whether they've started it or they haven't, I look at people and think, well, I would have been through that in one lifetime.
Right.
To get to where you are now, you have to have been through all of them to understand and to be able to be where you are now.
That's it. And that humility is exactly, and if you don't see that humility, then you should have your, pay attention. Because if you don't see that humility, you go, where is that humility? Because it's a byproduct of being more loving.
Yeah.
You know.
So what's stopping that person from from doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, when you see the so-called gurus, I think there's 150 of these gurus circumnavigating the globe at any one time, and each of them is the one.
But people, my argument is people have put them in them position.
Yes.
You've given your energy to that person to make that person what they are. That's why I struggle. I've always struggled. I love doing group work
Right.
within, like if I'm helping healing a situation.
Mhm.
I've never been one. I do a lot of soul work at night and planet work and stuff like that, which
Right.
a lot of people, light workers, do, or however you want to.
Yes.
We're just serving humanity.
Yes.
But I've always had struggled with the fact of people going, right, we're doing a massive meditation at this time,
yeah.
all linking, because to me, you're coming from a place where you think, oh my God, so we're going to be able to help this situation, so let's put all our energy in.
Right.
But that person heading that, how do you know what they're doing with that energy?
True.
You're trusting them
True.
with your own energy. And I've had a situation in the past, it was about 5-6 years ago, where I did a healing session on someone, and they said to me that no one had ever been able to help them.
Right.
So, and I felt within my heart space that I could.
Right.
So I offered. Now there was no payment involved. This was because I felt I could help.
Sure.
But it was a massive lesson for me, because this person said to me, the only way you can help me is by completely allowing yourself to open. And I did. Now this person, the next day, I spent 3 or 4 days it took me to bring my energy back up. Now this person said, I wondered what it was like to wake up a Leeann, and they did, and they said it was amazing. So what happened is our energies are completely transferred, because I allowed myself to completely open everything, and this person took my energy. And there's so much, I've seen that happened to me personally.
Yes.
And that was from somebody who wasn't spiritually aware.
Right.
In the aspect is how people are
Sure.
now.
Sure.
And I've seen it a lot lately, and where people, spiritual people, are draining other spiritual people to help push their self forward. And whether they know what they're doing or they don't, and they're in denial, I'm still not sure, but it's happening. And it's happening a lot. And I see people play almost like a victim from being, they are the people that are doing it, but all of a sudden they've become the victim because this other person's saying, no, I don't want this happening. Right. I want this. And there's this transfer, and I've seen it a lot. I can't say one case, I can't say two. I'm seeing a lot of where this is happening. And then when you have managed to help somebody regain their energy back and sealed up everything so that it can't happen again, the person struggles a little bit to feel their energy again, because they've spent such a long time having it drained by somebody else. And when, like, circles and stuff are great in the aspect, if you're all on the same level, but if you've got one person who's very aware of what they're doing, they can take your energy. So it's being mindful and aware that does go on. It's not.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
and I think some people naive or blindsided. Maybe they see it, but they don't really. They've decided that they don't want to see it, so it's there, but I'll pretend it's not happening. Even if other people are saying it is, I'm just going to ignore it.
Yeah.
But it can be detrimental to somebody else's own spiritual growth.
Oh no, vampirism, and it's whether it's conscious or unconscious, it's so common, and becoming more so.
Yes.
Becoming more so. It's really growing, and I think
you don't expect it though, do you? Because I don't know about you, but when I think years back, to me, when I thought of spirituality, to me I thought of all these beautiful enlightened people that work from their heart space. It was a loving community. Everybody was on this journey. And in next to no time, I got my backside hit to the floor, and some of the stuff that I've witnessed within the spiritual community
Sure.
have been heartbreaking, and many times I could have walked away easily,
Sure.
but it's only because I feel passionate that I don't want other people to have to go through some of the stuff that I've gone through
Yes.
and seen, because to me that's not what it's about.
Right. Yeah, but that's how you heal it for yourself, and you heal it for others. And I also confer about that we have to be aware of vampirism and other people taking, because it's like, oh, I'll take theirs because you don't think you can open for your own supply. Of course you can, but everybody thinks they've got to go through a process or clip on to somebody else who has that energy and try to take theirs. So not knowing that they can have their own supply.
But could that also be, I wonder whether some of it goes back to what we were saying about your training,
Sure.
where you've gone back where people originally trained. Is there this thing as it goes forward where while you're doing that practice,
yes,
you're locked into that energy from within your training, so it must
Sure.
have come forwards.
Sure. And who's training? And here's the other thing about teachers or trainers or masters, why they have to be the most precise, because if they're not, the legacy of their psychic abilities, their predisposition psychically, then gets translated all the way down, and it gets copied. It's a copy. So if they're slightly into taking someone else's energy or channeling that stuff, everybody else does the same thing. That's why I think it's the work you're doing, and I think the work that I'm doing, is so much. That's why we came together, so much focused on liberating people into their own power, and that you yourself don't need anything, just a link into your own divinity. And once we have that, who are these other masters? Who are they? They're just other people.
All on a journey, but they portray, we are all one at the end of the day. It's all one consciousness, but it's our own unique journey.
Yes.
Which will get everybody to the point they need to.
That's right.
But these certain organisations are, we are consciousness, we are all one, train this way, but that's your training, like what they've set up.
Right.
And it's not, it's almost like clones. That's how I see it.
Yes.
It doesn't feel natural, and it doesn't feel your own personal journey. But because people want to heal other people and want to help other people, they go and spend out these disgusting amount of money to become a clone of somebody else.
That's absolutely right.
That's given away their power to this person, because they had to do that. You've had to give away a part of you to train this way.
That's right.
So you're being. It's no different to me, like when you go in the army. They train you the way they want you.
Yeah.
So there's no being in the flow.
No.
It's their way, and they think that is the right way. But that's the right way for them, not necessarily. They've got people because they want to help.
We can talk about the Star Children, we can talk about the evolution of the planet, and it's all relevant.
Look in a mirror and look into your eyes. That is where you see it all.
What's relevant is your own life. You are your own religion.